All right, the watch list video for July 25th, which will be Monday. Many of us had our best week of the year last week in chat. There's a lot of stuff moving, and the team works fantastic. So looking at the SPY, it's just kind of hanging out here near all-time highs and choppy, and most days are narrow range. Typical summer action, but a lot of stuff is moving pretty nicely on an intraday basis. So, if you're focused on the right stocks, there is money to be made out there. Let me go into the watch list for Monday. And speaking of focused on the right stocks, as far as recent high relative volume and price action, that's where I make my living. OPTT certainly meets those parameters. And these candles are starting to get crazy. This was just $3 a little over a week ago and went over almost to 16 and then back down and announced a secondary on Friday. And actually, I got us involved in this one literally when it looked like this. So you had the gap down, which would have been a nice entry. We have what we call a gap down bounce play setup, but I just didn't see it. Plus, I kind of dismissed it because of the secondary, and I didn't realize till later somebody posted in chat how small the secondary was, which made me start to like this again. So you had the gap down and a nice pop, right? Kind of a little intraday cup and handle where you had a lower high. And you can see what happens when this one lights up the new high of day ticker. It just rips. You can see back here, here, here. So it's one of those just serial short squeezers. And that won't last forever, but while it's happening, we want to keep our eyes on this and keep it on a chart. So, my idea in chat on Friday was over, I think, at $9.30 right here. If it broke, basically got up through this flag, and then you had the high of day above as the next catalyst. So it was 9:30, 9:10 stop, and look what happens. I mean, when it triggers, literally within a 5-minute candle, we were up $1, and it just kept going. I sold my last sell was over 11, so I did good scaling out of that one. But that was a really nice afternoon trade. And it goes back. I gave some of it back in the afternoon, right, or for the rest of the day. So it goes back on watch tomorrow just because we might get another low-risk setup like that one. And that trade sort of, let's go back to that real quick. That trade sort of sums up, I don't know if the right word is my trading mentality, my trading strategy. I don't know how to word it, but it sums up what I try to do trading, okay? I try to find entries that if they work, in other words, if I'm right, they'll work right away. The beauty of that is, so we get long right here, right? We're already just scaling out. I mean, we're in the stock for like 5 minutes and making really good money. If this triggers here and doesn't go, that's also good because it should have gone based on this chart action, this recent daily chart action, and then the intraday setup. It gets here, it should have gone. So if it pops to here and doesn't go, I don't hang out. I'm just right back out. So maybe it pushes back down 10 cents or 15 cents. I'm just back out because it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. A lot of times that's a danger signal and you want to get out and maybe even flip the idea and trade the stock short or something like that. But that chart right there sums up what I try to do on every trade. I wish it was the truth that they all worked like that. But the beauty of it is, again, when they don't work, that is also a signal, right, of what you should do. You should get out because it didn't do what you thought. So anyway, I'm going to watch that one again on Monday. OPGN. Now this one, again, speaking of recent high relative volume, you had this huge spike. Then you had a red day. So it went on bounce watch for Friday. And then gapped down and ripped. I never did catch a trade in this one. Some of our members caught this kind of right up in this area. I think Wayne gave the idea. I apologize if it was somebody else. And it just ripped. But it never did anything the rest of the day, and I missed the rip, so I don't chase, right? So I didn't do anything with it. I don't love this one because, it ended up closing back near the lows. But, again, recent action. I'm not married to the idea that, it's closed at its lows a couple days in a row. We don't know what's going to happen on Monday. It might gap down and open down here and then rip the rest of the day and, meet our parameters for the gap down bounce play setup. So we don't know, but I do want to have a stock that 3 sessions ago went from 164 to 465, right? That should be on watch every day for the next week. So it will be, all right? CNTF. Decent little volume spike here. You can tell this one's thinner because this massive volume stick here, it was only 2.5 million shares. So now you had a kind of a lower volume, quiet inside day on Friday. Maybe we get a third day play there. So it goes on watch. CIDM. Again, this one Big pop, flag, another big pop. Probably needs to come in another day or two if it's going to continue higher, but it could happen as early as Monday, so it goes on a chart. GBR, this thing was insane. And we had chat room members that were trading this thing from early on. I was oblivious until it had made a big move. And I was done trading early on Friday. I had my biggest day of the year, I think, on Friday. Not positive. I have to go back and look at that, but maybe my biggest day of the year. And so I just said, I don't want to do anything stupid Friday afternoon, so I was done trading. But this actually did give a nice pullback to our buy zone area, and then a secondary pop in the afternoon. Again, you've got a stock that 20 million, almost 20 million shares, and a huge move. Keep this on watch for several days. I doubt we'll get a low risk setup in it tomorrow, but you never know, right? You can't see the setup and act on it if you don't have it on a chart. So that's super important to populate charts if you're a day trader with these recent high flyers, preferably the low floaters too. TOPS, going into Friday, looked like it was probably done, right? You had this topping tail through the 200 day, closes near its open, and then on Friday had great strength again. So it's extended from the moving averages, but that doesn't mean I don't put it on a chart. Speaking of extended, KONE was under $2. Next thing you know, it's almost 14. And this is the environment we're in, guys. So, you got to have these things on charts. This one absolutely looks like it needs to come in. But, so if you see a watch list like this on Monday, pretty much every one of these stocks should be on your watch probably all the way through Friday. CLNT, nice volume spike, over 5 million shares out of the blue, lower float stock, maybe a red to green in that one on Monday. VUZI, really strong. Again, we had chat room members on this one, and I skillfully missed the move on Friday. Again, didn't care because I was having a great day, but still, we were watching it early, and I just missed the move. And that's an old trend line, but it's right back up near recent highs. Biggest volume day actually yet, going back quite a ways. So let's watch this one on Monday and really all week. WPRT, interesting pop here, pulled back, and then another pop on decent volume. So over this area, 151 there, Friday's high one. So, over 151, this one might get going. I'm not in love with it, but it doesn't cost me anything to have it on a chart. SGY, I'll bring another version of the smaller version of the daily chart up because that orange line is the 50-day. Pretty much coincides with that green line, but that green line is set to 60s because I generally use this chart as my 5-minute chart intraday, and I love to watch for bounces off of the 5-minute 60-period moving average in the afternoon on strong morning stocks. There's one of my staples right there. So anyway, SGY put in a fairly narrow range. It gave an afternoon trade. I popped back into chat pretty much when this looked like this, just to kind of start closing things down, and I saw this, and I actually typed out in the chat room, hey, SGY is flagging below the highs. It's on our bounce playlist, and I know Oki, at least one person caught this right there, and got a nice little pop in the afternoon. So Oki made some money off that. I think some others did too. And then it came back near the end of the day. This is just on watch because, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, this was 25 bucks all the way back down to 13 and had a nice afternoon pop on Friday. This one might follow through to the upside, follow this narrow range. It might follow through on this bounce it started on Friday, on Monday. ZAIS, nice pop, and just kind of a quiet do-nothing day. Got to be on a chart. And then lastly, I have ZAGG. Really nice move here for a little over a week, and then you've got a couple red days. Buyers did step in on Friday afternoon. I do want to watch that for a potential, let me double check that. Actually, the buyers, it sold off in the morning. That's where the tail came from, and it bounced mid-morning and then sideways the rest of the day. So this one, that's a huge move it made. And now a couple red days, this one might be ready to turn back up on Monday. So that's the list. We will work together as a team to add gappers in the morning as well. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.